Speaking of efforts to reduce flooding, some new technology being put to use in the Rockport area to deal with high water issues there. It's a new tool called an Aqua Dam. TxDOT crews set it up today on a major highway. Our Rudy Trevino was there for us. Rudy?
The Texas Department of Transportation crews spent the better part of the day setting up the massive 250-foot long sections of what make up the Aqua Dams along State Highway 35. While it's considered new technology to many of us, it's actually been around a short while. Several dozen TxDOT crews from surrounding counties showed up for work along this southbound section of Highway 35 just outside of Rockport. It's an area prone to flooding, causing issues for drivers along that stretch of roadway. The crews began the process of setting up the 250-foot long tube-like bladders by unrolling them along the flooded sections of the highway.
There is anticipation of a forecast of more rain in the upcoming weekend, and being on the coastal areas closer to the water, with more rain expected, we have saturated grounds, and some of our other roadways, our smaller roadways, are affected as well, and we need to make sure we have ways in and out of Aransas County.
How the Aqua Dam works is crews use massive pumps to literally fill up the dams, which are made of heavy rubber with a canvas covering. Now, the dams then prevent flood water from seeping back onto the roadway. It's a simple process that literally clears up flooded roadways. Now, how long they stay up depends on how quickly Mother Nature evaporates or absorbs the floodwaters. Once that happens, the dams are open to release the water to drain naturally. Joe, Mackenzie?
All right, very interesting there. Thank you, Rudy.